Hi, I am Mia Lamont, your host for the Brand Disruptors podcast. I've been a disruptor all my life, and I'm here to help other women step into their own greatness so that they can get paid to be themselves. I decided to start this podcast because I wanted to show other women how I and women like me took their life's disruptions and changed their lives and the lives of others, not to mention broke the mold in their industries. Look, branding is all about who you are at your core, the person that your soul is calling you to be. So get ready to step into your power, own your authenticity, and show up like the boss that you are. If you enjoy all aspects of personal development, you are in the right place. Let's get started. All right, we are back. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying on. And I'm gonna bring on our last guest for the day, Mrs. Cynthia Jackson, and she can tell us how she became to be a Mrs. Late last year. I think it was around my birthday. So I'm going to bring up Cynthia. So without further ado, hello, my love.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Fabulous.
Fabulous. Of course you are fabulous. Look at you. You are fabulous.
Thank you. If I'm talking a little funny, I have a retainer in, so.
Oh, look, take care of yourself and do what you need to do.
Right.
Absolutely. So, Mrs. Jackson, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jackson.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll talk about this whirlwind love story of yours, and we'll talk about business, like all of the things that you have been through in this last year. So tell us who you are first.
Okay, I'm Cynthia Jackson, and I'm a licensed professional counselor since 2016. I'm also a licensed and ordained minister for about 25 plus years. I own two businesses, counseling centers currently, and one in Conroe and one in Tomball.
In Texas.
In Texas.
In Texas.
Yes.
In the U.S. Because we might have some folks from international, and I don't know where that is. Yes?
Right.
And you're also doing something else, right? You're going to be helping other therapists become business owners?
Absolutely. What's interesting is in this business, it's super hard to get any kind of help. Everything I did outside of my supervisor before I had my full license, when I had my provisional license, he helped me with some things. But once you get your full license and you go on your own, you'll find that a lot of people don't want to give you any information. So everything that I learned in these 6 years has been trial and error. Figuring things out on my own. And when I say error, I mean lots of errors and not understanding and not many resources. So that's why I'm very interested in helping other therapists that are starting out for the first time to help them not have to go through all the struggles that I had and be able to have the resources and information that I've learned through my years and offer it to them so that they don't have that bumpy road.
Oh my God, that is so good, because I can totally relate to that. There's so many people who believe that if they tell you all of their secrets, or they tell you how they built their business, and they tell you how they did all of the things, that they believe you're going to become their competition. Right. And so you're helping to narrow that for other therapists.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so awesome. All right, so let's get into the tea. Let's get into some juicy stuff.
Oh my God.
So let's talk a little bit about who you became in the process of becoming a true business owner, a minister, but also a new wife. How did that happen?
Okay. So let's see. I've always didn't have a problem speaking up or being outspoken on issues that need to be addressed. So I think it just magnified it because being a Black woman down here in Texas, you have to speak up for yourself. And You can't let people walk all over you.
Mhm.
And although I can be aggressive when I need to, I'm really a loving person, and I like a positive, good vibe. I like people to be able to get along. And
Mhm.
so when I first started, I was letting a lot of stuff go just to keep peace.
Mm.
So I had to learn down through the years that I can't always keep the peace because it's not good for me, because I'm the one that ends up with the short end of the stick trying to keep the
Yes.
peace. And it
Yes.
took me a while to kind of figure that out, because I'd be like, okay, that was okay, that went over. But then eventually it's like, oh, that wasn't a good move for me. That didn't help me at all. So it's like I was helping everybody else but myself being nice. So I had to learn how to find that balance of still being able to be loving and caring and nice, but also being able to get the business done for myself.
So that realization was the thing that changed everything for you?
Absolutely, because I had a lot of, just in the last year, I've had a lot of really hard lessons that I had to learn, as far as I'm a dependable person,
Mhm.
I'm an honest person, I'm a trustworthy person, and I automatically think a lot of times that other people are the same, especially when we connect on something common,
Mhm.
especially pertaining to spirituality. And I learned that that doesn't mean anything, and that I still always have to look out for myself first.
Mhm.
And like I always say, make it make sense. Because I say it all the time, but over the past 2 years, I wasn't making it make sense. I was trusting, and I learned hard lessons, really hard lessons from that. Hard lessons, hurt feelings, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not there anymore.
Yeah. So you've transformed those hurt feelings and those big lessons into what?
Strength,
Yeah.
strength, because those were, I couldn't see them, but those were weaknesses, Um, it just doesn't always work out the way that you have it in your mind, because you're only thinking from your perspective, and people always have different perspectives. And so
Absolutely.
now I'm looking for their perspective and asking different questions, rather than trusting, asking the right questions so that I can understand their perspective. So then now I can see clearly when, okay, we're not lining up. When, if I don't question it, it sounds like we're on the same page.
Yes. Yes. And so this is related to business and personal, or both?
Both,
Mhm.
both.
Yeah.
Setting stronger boundaries,
Mhm.
harder boundaries, business and personal,
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm good, because as long as I can remember, I've always put myself on the back burner to make sure that everybody else was okay. From even with food, times when I was younger and my kids were small and we didn't have money, I would make sure everybody ate, and then I would eat off whatever they left,
Mhm.
making sure they were okay. Didn't matter if I got sick, didn't matter. And now I have the balance of, we all gonna be okay,
Yes.
because I'm gonna make sure I'm okay first.
Yes, yes. So tell us how you, because this is a huge disruption, how you actually got into this business.
Well, as long as I can remember, people always ask me for advice.
Mhm.
Um, Friends, especially when I got older in my 20s and things like that, I was able to give advice, not for myself, but I could give it to everybody else. And
Definitely.
when I was 23 going into the ministry, you know, counseling goes hand in hand. But after a couple of years of counseling in a spiritual setting, I realized that there was so much more to counseling and helping people, and that there's things that are spiritual that could be wrong, but there's also a lot of things that could be wrong in the natural. And I wanted to learn how to take it a step further and be able to address the whole person,
Mm.
naturally and spiritually. So that's how I ended up saying, you know what, I'm gonna go to school. And I always wanted to go to school, but I have ADHD, so I have many interests. But I decided when I was older, I think I was hitting 40, and I was like, now that I'm out of a toxic relationship, I'm on my own. And me and my mom were talking one day, and I was like, I go to school now. And I was like, I'm gonna do counseling because I'm always helping people. So I'm gonna do counseling. And that's how I got into this business.
Oh, and you were 40. Like you didn't wait until, I mean, or you didn't beat yourself up about the fact that, oh, you know what, I might be on the other side of youth, right? And I'm not going to let that stop me because I'm going to be 20 years older than most of the people in my class. I'm still going to go and I'm still going to do this.
Okay, but let's be clear. I still don't feel like I'm on the other side of youth. Okay.
Okay.
It never even occurs to me because I still feel like I'm daddy's little girl, and I do not feel I'm 55. I'll be 56 in June. And I don't feel like I'm 55, and I don't function like that. So it never crossed my mind like, oh, I'm 40, I'm too old. I don't feel like that on most things. I'm still going to push through.
Yeah. And you have that spirit, right? You got the spirit of a 20-year-old. So of course you'd be in a concert with them, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what about this husband of yours? You're a newlywed, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
We're talking about spirits of 20-year-olds.
Yes. I'm getting it like a 20-year-old too. So
Okay. All right. Hello.
yeah.
Talk about it. Tell us all the tea. How did you meet? How did you reconnect? Like what are the things? Tell us all the things.
Okay, so I grew up with them, went to school together.
Mm-hmm.
I always had a crush on them. I won't tell everything, but we ended up being really good friends. When I was 17, I had to have open heart surgery. And when I got out the hospital, because we used to talk on the phone, when I got out the hospital, he used to come every day. He would get home from work. He would come to my house and get me and make me take a walk because I was supposed to exercise every day.
Mm-hmm.
He would take me for a walk. And after I got better, we just never stopped. So every day we would meet up halfway because he lived on one side and I lived on the other side. So we would walk and we would meet. And we would just laugh and talk for a couple of hours. And then we lost contact. And then I had gotten married, had kids. And I used to take my son to him when he was like, my son was 2,
Mm-hmm.
for him to cut his hair.
Okay.
And so for all these years, we were in some kind of contact in and out. He even found a letter that I wrote and sent to his house in 2003.
Oh my God.
And he still had that. And then we like reconnected in 2010,
Mm-hmm.
lost contact again, reconnected for a bit in I think it was 2014 when my grandmother passed because I was in California. And then I hadn't talked to him for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, it's so funny because I had just like given up because I was like, oh man, my friends are married. I want to be married, but I haven't been single for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to be married and stuff. But then I was like, you meet people and it's just like always so disappointing. It's such a letdown. And
So you
so,
set an intention last year for a relationship. Did you not like?
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I worked one, but 2 days before we reconnected, and I was actually sitting right here, and I was like, okay, God, I quit. I give up. I don't care anymore. I was like, you blessed me with my businesses. You blessed me with my beautiful home. I got great kids, grandkids. I was like, I don't care anymore. I don't have to have anybody. I'm satisfied, and I'm going to be content and thankful for what I have.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 days later, I was in the kitchen, and my phone went off, and I saw the name Demetrius, and I thought it was my client.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, oh, I'll talk to him later because I was cooking, and then I had to go back to work. And so before I was getting ready to come and start doing my video counseling, I looked and I was like, wait a minute, this is from Facebook. And then I saw who it was, and I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, I'm just like smiling and freaking out. I was like, oh my God. And David was here, and I was telling David, I was like, oh my God, I love him so much. I was like, I can't wait, blah, blah, blah. So I had to work until like 10:45, I think it was. but I'm 2 hours ahead of him because he's in California.
Yep.
So 2 hours behind. So I called him and we talked for like 3 hours. And that was on a Monday. And then on that Thursday, we decided we were going to get married. And 6 weeks later, we were married.
And there you wrote it. And there it was written. And you're going, so you guys live in different places.
Right. Because we have restrictions through family issues, illnesses. Right. And so we decided to stay put until we can. I just took him to the airport on Tuesday, and then my daughter's taking me to the airport tomorrow. And so I'll be in California for a couple of weeks. But everything is really great. It was like the greatest gift God could have ever given me. I mean, it's like so right on time in my life. And he's everything that I need, everything that I could have, all the things that I ever asked for all down through these years. I got that and plus more. So respectful, affirmations all the time, so affectionate. I mean, everything is on point and good. And then it was interesting because we're both vegan. So that was good. And everything is just so in line. And when everything else was crumbling and going wrong, I can handle it just because I had him. Mm. He is so solid with me and everything is just great. So I like being Miss Jackson, if you know.
Yes. Yes. Like when you first told me about it, you were like, oh, I'm getting married in 6 years. I'm getting married. I was like, well, wait a minute. What?
Right.
But when you know, you know.
Right? Yeah.
When you know,
absolutely. It's so perfect.
And then the other part is that you guys didn't let this the physical location be a barrier to what you're up to, right? You're committed enough to say, you know what, we're going to figure this out. Like we're going to be together and we're going to figure it out. And I love that, like, you are always smiling. Like you've been going through a bit of stuff with, some other people, some outside forces, but because you have this in your life, it has definitely grounded you. Yes. And it's definitely made you, like, I'd say you actually love life more.
Oh, everything. Yeah. Everything is beautiful. Everything
is beautiful because you're because of the perspective, right? You decided that, you know what, I give up. I'm gonna let you handle it. I'm gonna be grateful for what I have.
Right.
And he appears or reappears.
Yeah. Just like that.
Yeah, he reappears. That is amazing. I love this story because and the reason why I wanted to talk about it, I know I didn't say a whole lot about us talking about this today. The reason why I want to talk about it is because I think that a lot of women believe that they can't have it all.
Right. And that was my thought.
Huh?
That was my thought was, okay, I've got these businesses, so that's it. That's my quota, that's my limit. And I had to change that mentality to, yes, I can.
Absolutely. Like you can have everything that you desire as long as you believe it.
Yes.
And I think that you had a mindset shift as soon as you got really grateful about what you do have. Then he walked in the door, right? Mm-hmm. Because you were open to receiving instead of cutting yourself off by saying, you know what, I can't have what I want to have. I've been out on these sucky dates and blah, 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 Yes. So I want to presence for the audience is like, when we think, whatever we think we can have is what we're going to get. Mm-hmm. And I know sometimes it's really hard to understand, but once you start to manifest, as one of our guests said earlier, once you start to manifest the things that you say that you want because you're coming from a place of belief, then you start to be like, oh my God, this is fun. Let me see what else I can create.
Absolutely. And let me be clear, though, I wasn't doing dates because I was so traumatized from the relationship from 21 years ago. Like in the first conversations, if I heard anything that even triggered me that way, I just chopped it off. So I never even would make it to the date because, I mean, a lot of it was me. But like I said, that last relationship was just so horrible and so awful. It was just like, no. And that was one of the things I had asked God for, was that I wanted it to be somebody that I knew already. And that was years ago. So I forgot, but God didn't.
Look at that.
No,
You wanted to meet somebody that you already knew.
already knew.
And did
And
you have like a certain set of qualities that he had to have?
all the things that I asked for was, I like people that are blunt. I like people that are straight out. I like people that are their authentic self. I like people that are loving, affectionate, um, good sex, all of that. I wanted all of that. And I got all of it with plus signs and stars and fireworks everywhere.
So you wanted and more because you were willing to ask for it and you were grateful for what you already had.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was, and I was specific in those things because those are all the things that I lacked, and those are part of who I am, because I'm very loving, very caring, and I'll do anything for anybody. I want people, to be happy, and that's part of how I disrupt in my business, is because I'm genuine for how I care about people, and especially women. I want them to be happy, and I want them to know that you don't have to have a bad life because you're a woman, and that we can take charge. I tell women all the time, you are the queen, the king, el presidente of this person.
Yes.
And no one else can rule you.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to grab, because we're not in that position. I argue, my husband will tell you, he say, I'm going to tell all the women that if don't nobody got them, that you got them. Because I will go to town about a woman, like all these things in Hollywood and things that you hear, oh, she had a baby with him. Okay, well, it's his responsibility, just like it's hers, to not get someone pregnant, and things like that. But as women, we're taught to just be quiet, suck it up. We sleep with one person, we're a whore, and that's a bunch of, and then they're studs and they're glorified for it. And all that, I'm like on a mission, because all of that's got to change.
It does, like down with the patriarchy for sure.
Yes.
I was reading this book about this guy who talks about the polarities between masculine and feminine. So he's really talking about males and females, but it's about the energy, right?
Right.
And the book, I love the book, but when he talks about the patriarchy and how it's gotten a bad name, and I'm like, yeah, because it is a bad thing. The patriarchy that we know in America, especially, is very damaging to women, especially women of color. And so I think that is another reason why we align, because we both are about the business of busting that up. Yes. And empowering women and making sure that women understand that your power is within. Like, can't no man give it to you or take it away from you.
No. And you can't, you find that though, that if you think about how as women were raised, like, you always say the boys are outside playing football, playing cops and robbers, killing each other, fighting each other. We're in the house feeding our baby doll, making our happy home with Ken, right, and Skipper. And so we're in such different places, so that we're already thinking that we need not one, but that we need a man to make us whole. But the truth is, if we want any kind of man, we must first be whole ourselves and know how to love ourselves and empower ourselves. And when you talk about masculine energy, I believe that any woman that has survived an abusive relationship, you're going to have some masculine energy, because you got to protect yourself. Absolutely. Right? And you got to rise up and take care of, like for me, taking care of my kids by myself, all these things. So now he put me in a position that I got to be mother and father. So I have to have feminine and masculine energy. And that's okay, because that's what's going to bring me through. But I want us to all start telling our little girls that, girl, no, you can be the president. You can be a CEO. You can be all these things. You don't have to be a housewife. You don't have to be barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. You don't have to do that. You can have all your own things and build your own wealth. And instead of waiting, you hear women all the time, I'm going to marry a rich man. You are, instead of, the thought is never, I'm going to be rich. Yeah, I'm going to be wealthy. I'm going to have my own stuff. And so that's the message that I always want to spin out. And that's how I'll disrupt this, that letting a woman feel empowered with who she is and what her abilities are and help her to find her talents that maybe have been pressed down because of verbal abuse. Physical abuse or whatever it is, or being controlled, and bringing that out and bringing it to the top so that she has the strength to walk away and build her own wealth.
Absolutely. And we only do that from a place of balance of both of those energies. We get to have them both, just like a man gets to have them both, but we got to balance them out. And most of us, most women, because we live in this patriarchal society, we live more in the masculine. And we're going to invite you to look more into your feminine, because that's where your power is.
Right.
Yeah. That's what the power is.
Right.
So tell us, we're going to be wrapping it up in a few minutes. So what would you say has been your biggest lesson as an entrepreneur, as a mom? Like, they can be different lessons, or as a newlywed. Like, what's been your biggest lessons?
So let me start with the newlywed. So my biggest lesson as a newlywed is to always check myself, because I came out of a bad relationship. So I never had to see myself because, I was so busy focusing on all the dirt he was doing, right? And in this relationship, I have no complaints. So I often have the camera turned on me, so to speak, in the mirror. And so it's really the biggest lesson that I have learned is that I'm in a partnership now. I can chill out. I don't have to have all that masculine energy now, because he got it for sure. Yes. He got it. So I can relax and be a lady now for that. As far as being a parent, all my kids are grown. And so for that, I think it is listening more. Because I think that the way that I was raised is more, I'm your mama, shut up and do what I say. And I don't do that anymore. Now, what are you feeling? Why are you, and helping through. So I think it's helped me to be more of a better listener, like I am in my sessions to my children and my grandchildren.
Yes.
As an entrepreneur, I learned to read. And I'll take anybody's word for it. Fight with my ADHD like I have to do when I'm working on my PSYD, and read for myself and learn for myself and ask questions for myself, so that I don't have to rely on other people for all this knowledge, but I can have it, which will help me in my coaching as well.
Absolutely. So to wrap up, tell the folks about the coaching and what you're going to be coaching women on, and how they can get in touch with you. And we'll put all that in the show notes. And we also have the links and everything else for them.
Okay. To get in touch with me, my website is, right now, you can go through brandnewyou1.com.
So the number one?
The number one. Brandnewyou and number 1.com. Okay. And my telephone number that you can reach me at is 936-520-9124. And you just need to tell the young lady what you're calling about.
Yeah.
The things that I offer for coaching is a lot of the little things, because as a therapist, they got that part.
Yeah.
But it's leases, what to look for. It's got a good lesson on that. In your lease, what should be there, what shouldn't be there. Prices, understanding that a lot of things you don't know is when you go and you look at a business, guess what? They're going to give you a price, but that's not the rent you're going to pay. When it comes down, when you're going to sign that lease, we have CAM fees. And so that little nice amount you thought you can have, you can go ahead and add about $1,700, $1,800 to that. Things like that, that people don't know. And things about their license that they need to know, things about how to get on insurance panels, how to do your own credentialing so you don't have to go in debt trying to get someone to help you, how to do billing, what billing softwares are out there, which ones are the best, which ones are the easiest, what are you going to get the most out of, talking about what populations, training, CEUs, all the things that a therapist needs to keep going and to have a successful office.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Because you learned the hard way. You didn't have somebody teaching you all these things. And so You
No.
want to impart this wisdom to other women who want to become therapists.
Save you a lot of headache.
Yes. Awesome. Yay. Yay. Anything else you want to add, say before we sign off?
I do. I want to say that I learned a lot, but when I met you, Mia, that's when things, as far as I really learned how to be a boss lady and a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people when I talk about you, the first time that you and I talked, you were sitting there and you had your little tablet and your pen and you were like, tell me what you do. And I told you I was a licensed professional counselor. And you were just like, and you start saying, you can do this, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. And I'm like, I can. And so I want to say that if there's anybody out there that's listening right now and you have your own business and you want to take it to the top and really get a good understanding of all the things you can really do, get with Mia, because she has so much knowledge, so many resources, and also she helps you with your motivation. Because when she's telling you stuff and it starts clicking in your brain, oh, you're going to get real hype. Because you're going to be like, oh my God, I really can make a little bit more change here. And so I want to express my gratitude to you.
Oh my God, thank you. I did not pay her to do this, y'all. Like, this was not set up. I did not ask her to say any of this. So for me, like, for you to say this, like, I absolutely honor and appreciate you for trusting me to do this with you. And thank you. Like, thank you.
You deserve it. I mean, you deserve all of it because you're great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Well, I'm going to close with that for sure. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, and enjoy your time in California. And maybe we can hook up because I'll be in California next week too.
Okay, great. I'll be there tomorrow.
Thank you. All of the stuff that Cynthia mentioned will be in the show notes or in the links, and we'll make sure that you guys get in touch with her if that's something that you want to do. Thank you, love.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Brand Disruptors podcast. I'm your host, Mia Lamont. And if you like what you just heard, I hope that you will pass along our web address at www.mialamont.com/podcast to your friends and colleagues. And please leave us a positive review on iTunes. Download this episode and any other episode that you found to be helpful. And be sure to check out our previous episodes and join me next time with another edition of the Brand Disruptors podcast.